Thanks everyone for being here at today's Revelwood Workday webinar, Beyond Budgeting, Agile Financial Planning with Workday Adaptive Planning. My name is Stan Pinnell. I'm a Senior Account Executive here at Revelwood, and I'm joined by my colleague Dominic, who will be showing you today's overview demo of Adaptive Planning here in a few moments. Now, I just want to take a few minutes to give you an idea of what to expect today. First, some background on Revelwood. We are a platinum business partner of Workday, and what that means is that we are part of an extremely select group of partners that help you evaluate and implement adaptive planning. We have over 25 plus years of experience, and we're made up of a diverse team of certified experienced consultants that bring decades of financial operations and system know-how. We've implemented over 150 adaptive customers over the past several years, and this continues to grow. Not only that, but we also help existing adaptive customers with model enhancements, integrations, support services, and one-on-one training. I'm aware that some of you may be here because you have an active initiative to get into a cloud FP&A solution, and some of you may just be here to learn, or you're just curious. Either way, we greatly appreciate you taking 15 minutes with us in the next few days just to have a quick chat and see what your current challenges are, if you have any feedback, and whether there are resources that we can follow up with. An important thing to know is that the demo today is meant to just really give you a glimpse into what adaptive planning can do, and we should be finished in 45 minutes. During that time, everyone will be on mute, but if you have a question, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Please enter your question there, and we will try to answer it by the time we finish the webinar. If not, we'll make sure to get back to you via email. I wanted to take a moment to share a handful of logos we have personally worked with at Revelwood to help implement, ensure a successful onboarding experience of Workday Adaptive Planning. As you can see, these encompass many different industries and size and types of organizations. With that, I'll pass over to Dominic to continue the webinar presentation.
Thanks, Dan. So welcome, everybody. My name is Dominic. Come from a very strong financial background. Our goal here is to kind of take you through a journey. Really, at a high level, we're talking about agility. So agility being able to be more adaptive to economic changes. So what this is really saying is, the FP&A challenge, right? A lot of organizations coming from volumes of data, stuck in, accumulating all that data with very little insight into the business. So our goal here is to kind of move you towards more of a modern FP&A platform to give you flexibility, scalability, and really about ease of use around those challenges. As we move towards that goal, enterprise planning to move you to the next level, it's really about agility and making more strategic analysis. A lot of use cases and questions that you have, majority of organizations we talk to come from an Excel environment, cumbersome, very challenging, a lot of data issues. So it's about being able to be more nimble, right? Doing more forecasting, doing that more often, right? So spending less time on those data gathering techniques and being more strategic. So what you'll see here today is a platform that's going to take you to that next level. Think of it as more of an art of the possible to be able to do a lot of things that you're looking to accomplish from a short-term and long-term goal. In addition to all of that, it's important to note that, although we start off with a lot of finance and CFOs, it is broadly able to help organizations, across the enterprise, from sales, from operations, from IT, marketing. It's about collaboration, making, organizations more valuable to kind of spread the benefits across many different areas of the business. So It's also something you can self-serve yourself, right? Kind of move to an environment that people can gain value out of the system and spend less time on some of those invaluable tasks, right? So synchronizing planning across the organization is fundamentally a key value. I won't spend a ton of time on this. It's more a little bit about the technology. There's some legacy stuff that a lot of people are familiar with in terms of queue-based system. It is something that we provide a robust technology for the scalability. The technology is something that, making changes to it in one place, having impact across the application. You'll see some of this on the dashboards and as we go through some of the basic budgeting techniques, but overall, uniquely, it's a platform that's a differentiator in the marketplace. Ultimately, one of the goals is to gain value, right? So value for your organization, to reduce the bottlenecks or improve the cycle times on closing the books, getting reports out faster, right? Spending more time on value-added tasks. The evolution of this platform is to gear towards more, being able to do things that you weren't able to do before, right? Limitations that are typically placed on ERP systems that have, some value in terms of collecting the data, but this is more of a strategic analytical platform to give you dashboards, reporting, budgeting, forecasting, scenario analysis, all the things that are going to be very, very important and as the organization grows, and it can kind of keep you abreast of the dynamic changes of the economy and environment. Just a quick use case on a testimonial. You can kind of read through it, but it's taking an organization from small, medium, large, improving cycle time, streamlining forecasting, giving you automated financial information, KPIs or key performance indicators, and ultimately also helping you reduce some of the elimination of human error, right? It's really about moving you to a platform that can support your growing business, not only for the next year, but really for the next 10, 20 years. It is something that we pride ourselves on here is to give you that a solution that you can see and work with and really enjoy working with in your processes as well. A quick quote from a VP of FP&A. For the corporate reporting team, Workday Adaptive Planning is a lifesaver. That's a very great testimonial, just more reliance on the platform. A lot of software out there, if you don't like what you're doing and you don't like using it or it's hard to use, it becomes what we call shelfware. So we're kind of moving away from an environment that gives you something not only is helpful for your organization, but something you enjoy working with, and it's something that you can leverage to gain value.
All right, Dominic, thank you for that quick overview of the Workday Adaptive Planning platform. I know everyone's anxious to get to a demonstration, so I'm going to hand it back over to Dominic, and he will take you through, as we mentioned, a high-level demonstration of the Workday Adaptive Planning platform. Please remember, if you have any questions, please enter that in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best at the end of the presentation to either answer those questions live or to follow up via email after the webinar. Dominic?
Okay, thank you. So let's get started with kind of an overview of the solution here. It's meant to kind of give you a very high-level perspective. Obviously, down the line, if you want more specific details for the business, that's great. But we'll start off with a dashboard that is very high level. One of the things is it's a platform you can access pretty much anywhere. As I log into the application, you can have access to it through different browsers, different mobile devices. It's very flexible to see types of information or metrics that's relevant. But we'll start off with some top level, looking at metrics from whether it's revenue to net income or more specific to specific organizations like SaaS or renewals or contracts, projects. It's very flexible to apply across many different industries. Well, what's nice thing is that when you look at this information, you can easily drill down on it, right? So whether you're selling products or a manufacturer and you're seeing, where revenue categories are coming from or who's buying your particular products, or even to the where they are, from a specific location. Drilling down on this information is going to be very inherent throughout the application. So something that you can glean insight into right away. Some other very popular areas is looking at information from target versus actual versus forecast, or being able to see scorecards and waterfall type reports. Being able to hone in on how we are doing from a sales perspective or production. So it's really about designing the system for the flexibility of your organization. So here's another quick example of all the KPIs that you can see. We can very quickly configure this appropriately to get you insight into some of those. And obviously, you can drill down on this information or look at it from many different perspectives. But overall, the dashboards is very flexible. It's very configurable. It's really, in terms of giving you the high level type of insights or analytics to provide the better decision making. As I introduce a couple key areas, this organizational level hierarchy is very fundamental to be able to have information consolidate or aggregate up through this hierarchy. It's also very flexible to design any way you want. A lot of people do departments, sometimes lines of businesses, cost centers, functional areas. It's up to you. We apply security to this as well. So you're only able to see exactly what you are presented, right? So I've got access to the entire organization, but if I only have access to one department and I log in, I'm only going to get to see my respective information. So all the security fundamentals across the application is key, giving people exactly what they need to see and managing that appropriately. I've got other areas, as far as, looking at actuals, bringing information, we can bring it in through an automated fashion. We have a pre-built connectors for certain systems. We've got a full integration platform that we can connect to. It's really agnostic to the data. So being able to automate that process and bring that information in, you can schedule it at night. You can run it on demand. You can upload information through Excel flat files. There's a lot of things that we can provide really to make it seamless for you to get the data. So that way you can focus on, analyzing information from budgets that are, working budgets to original budgets from last year that you can bring in, lock it down, secure it, the value around forecasting to be able to do more forecasting. What if scenarios, if there's acquisitions, or should I embark on a new project or product line? How does that impact my financials? In theory, you can really have as many of these as you want. There's limitations. You can compare them to each other. A lot of flexibility around scenario analysis. Some other great examples of dashboards, just to kind of provide you some additional insight, is we've got dashboards that allow you to interact with it. We kind of call this more sensitivity analysis, or being able to do some top-down adjustments, or be able to kind of give you things like drivers that may have a baseline adjustment. In this example, we're looking at price volume and more seasonality. So if you've got something that you might see that I'm going to have probably a better quarter, you might want to adjust some of that and have it impact the financials, impact the variance analysis, and all the dashboards and reports based on that change. You can interact with it right on the fly and see its information. So again, just a quick example, but conceptually, it's more about kind of similarly like the art of the possible, how we can help your organizations long term. One other thing I will bring up in terms of moving towards an evolution of helping organizations do more forecasting through predictive capabilities. It's a very popular trend in the industry to streamline those forecasting processes. A lot of top-down, bottoms-up, driver-based, but more predictive capabilities to adjust a driver on a specific account. Maybe you want to do, or leverage the system to do some of that, make some of those adjustments right on the fly. But the nice thing is that ultimately you get to some kind of forecast that is predictive through whether it's units sold or hours billed for consulting industries. Again, similar capabilities in terms of being able to drill down on this information and seeing some of the relevant details. But ultimately, we'll work with you very closely to build dashboards that are very specific, and understanding that we have to serve a large user population. So it's going to be very flexible. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and then, kind of bring up some information. We'll start off with a high level P&L, and then we'll get into some basics. In this example, what you're looking at is a profit and loss, or P&L. We still got it by department. So based on the security level, you get to see your respective P&L. Oftentimes it's a bunch of Excel files collated together, lookup tables, linkages, and I think we all know the challenges around that. I've been in finance myself for quite a long time. So all the general ledger accounts, and you've got green color basically signifies actuals, and we've got the budget data for the current year. So I'm looking at a departmental P&L, but what's nice is that I can also restrict access to certain things within this P&L for users. I've got the flexibility to kind of see multiple years of history. You can load in multiple years of actuals. You can plan out for the next 2, 3 years, 5 years. It's really up to you. But one nice thing also is that you can change the perspective, right? So even though I'm looking at a P&L by general ledger accounts, I can now focus in on a revenue account, in this case, a product revenue account across my departments. I can make top level adjustments if I want to. A lot of this is grayed out on purpose. It's being calculated. We don't want people making changes, but in theory, you could come through and make a quarterly adjustment for a certain set of departments at the top level, adjust that information accordingly. But overall, it's really up to you how you handle that. We've got balance sheet, cash flow. We've got some other areas that are important, but we'll focus a little bit on some basics. I think it's good to see some of the basic foundation, why this platform is inherently easy to use. But in this case, we're looking at expenses. We've got payroll accounts here that are being linked through kind of a detailed headcount planning. Again, same value, being able to drill into this information. In this case, we're going to drill into salaries, expenses for the month for my department. I've got the visibility to even drill down further into who makes up that salary expense for my department. Obviously, you can control that as well. You can have security that allows you to drill into that information. It's a very sensitive area, or you may not. But overall, you can design this system and present this. And I've got a bunch of accounts here, but I can theoretically configure a template that only provides 10 accounts for a certain department owner, because that's all they care about, right? But as far as basic budgeting, I'm just going to enter some data here. I'll enter some data and I'll be able to do things out of the box, copy this forward, right? Kind of building my budget for the year. I've also got ability to do things from maybe I want to increase or decrease it by a certain percent, right? So in this case, I increase it by 5%. I may also have mandates to only have, a max cap value. So being able to break this back, in terms of data proportionately. I've got seasonality in my business prior year. Maybe I only have actuals in a couple months. That's fine. We can do that. Or you can actually do a lot of different options, even custom defining your own assumptions around that. But at the end of the day, we'll be able to do what we'll call a spread back. You notice right away, the numbers that are impact are in blue. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. In this aspect here, it's going to be able to take this information from one user, other department users as they interact with the budget, saves it, consolidates this up the hierarchy. So that's kind of a huge value, because now you're consolidating data across all these different users. And I think we all can agree that consolidating the data in an Excel environment becomes very challenging, right? So we'll kind of simplify that process for you. We've also got the ability to add notes, kind of similar to Excel notes, adding a note anywhere, documenting anomalies and variances, or give you visibility into what we call the audit trail. The audit trail is an area that helps you capture changes, right? This is something that's a lot of organizations like, because as changes happen, multiple people interacting with it, tracking who changed it, the date, old, new values. You can definitely run some searches and reporting off the audit trail to kind of get a sense of what happened yesterday, because something that wasn't right. You can kind of see all the changes that occurred yesterday and kind of who did what. So again, this is just very fundamental to help streamline a lot of the budgeting processes. Another thing that you notice here is one of these accounts, the maintenance account, is split out. So you can break out the detail, and again, helping you answer some of those questions about why did somebody spend more than they should have. It's a lot of time savings to document that. As the approver comes in and looks at it, they say, okay, I get it. So there's not a lot of back and forth. But what's nice is it doesn't break that natural account. So I know I planned $67,000, but now I get it broken out by vendors. And each individual budget user can do this on their respective account. It doesn't necessarily have to be on this one, and they can control and really impact what's important to them. There's some nice to haves. We're always improving the product. You can do some visuals. We've got anomaly detection in terms of, kind of putting boundaries around what is happening within a certain range to kind of get you some of that. Really just about flexibility, right? So again, more analytics in terms of giving you insights, but overall, we're going to be able to provide you that very flexible environment. I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about other types of planning. Headcount planning is very popular. So in this example, you can plan by individual headcount, right? So that way you can plan by named accounts. So normally what you do is you bring all this information in, and then you can plan for new hires, and these different columns from title, obviously taxes, managing based on the tax rates of your state, start date, end date, health benefit plans. We have full assumptions and drivers around all of this. And really conceptually, once you bring all this initial roster in, then you start planning for a new hire just involves a quick data entry. So I can just go ahead and say, hey, I want to hire a new accountant, right? And they're going to be in a specific state, right? Calculates those taxes. It could be a full-time employee that starts or have an end date based on a seasonality. Maybe there's summer intern, right? But I think you get the idea, right? Just kind of populating this at each individual end users to be able to give them visibility into, the insights that you want. I've got some validation around, being able to enter some of this information in through, annual salaries or by hourly if you want. But I think conceptually, you get the idea, right? So you can literally build out your budgets at the individual headcount level. And then from there, it's going to consolidate up the hierarchy. So in this example, if you notice also, we can also allocate people. There's a row here for William Clark. So William Clark is being split out in multiple departments by percentages. So we can allocate people to projects, or we can allocate people across departments. At any point in time, any one of these employees, you notice you can actually see the calculations or details behind the scenes of what's happening for that employee, all their fully burdened costs, all their benefits, taxes, all the things that are important. But these get linked back up to a P&L or to the expense GL accounts based on that personnel section. But overall, very flexible, very easy to manage. I'm gonna kind of bring up another perspective in terms of looking at, you notice I've got a lot of things I can talk about in terms of inventory, operational things, metrics, but I'll bring up this revenue view here. Its benefit really is to allow you to plan at a more granular level, right? So I've still got my department, I've got customers or dimensionality that gives me insight into, planning revenue by customer, by product categories, or even down to, certain sizes and colors of that product category, right? I'm basically simulating that, we're planning units, how many units you expect to sell, what's the revenue, what's the margin by product, by customer. So if I wanted to see revenue by product, it's a simple slicing of this information, right? It's very valuable, very intuitive. It's very easy to kind of just slice and dice, get you some of those questions that often get asked. Is hard to find, but overall, Again, revenue is a very popular area. It's a lot of different industries have different things from revenue recognition, or the ways you plan revenue is unique to yourself. And that's one of the things we'll spend a lot of time on understanding better and helping you design the application appropriately for your business. Let's actually switch gears and move to reporting. I think ultimately you can look at many different types of reports. We've got full P&Ls, balance sheet, cash flows, variance reports. In this example, it'll be a high-level variance report looking at actual versus budget. You notice there's some variance filters that we can set up. But I mentioned this a little bit earlier, so you notice some of the notes that are identified as footnotes. But what's great about them is that these kind of roll up and down the hierarchy of your organization, but also adds that collaboration as people ask questions on why certain things. You can document that. It flows over here. If you're working with them in the budget templates, it kind of flows over the reports. As well as I can easily drill into this information, just like I did on the dashboards or on the budget templates, with the exception that I've got additional flexibility to drill into what we call transactional level detail. Why? Because oftentimes you want to see, why somebody spent a certain amount over variance for travel or entertainment, right? So it's really up to you, right? So drilling down or drilling across this information is something that is easily done. Also, one of the hallmarks is just how easy it is to use. And this is just bringing up the same report, but I may want to drag and drop over, additional metrics, right? It's just that simple, right? It's just using my mouse, dragging and dropping them over. Obviously, all the metrics are defined by your organization, but it's really about simplifying the process, and you can build your own reports. Other areas of downloading to Excel, PDF are common, but the ability to kind of take these reports and save them or share them is really valuable, because you can take a report, share them among your peers. A lot of executives sometimes like to write their own reports, but there's a contingency of some that just like to have them in their folders. The benefit of having one report and managing it through security and being able to see only the data that's appropriate. So you can take a report and share it among the shared folders. They come in and they can see it. I can copy a report. Hey, I like your report. It's like a peer of yours. Come take it, copy it to my folder, and I could, tweak it a little bit and kind of just start off with a nice report versus from scratch. But ultimately, it's really just about providing all those flexible options and giving you the right information at the right time. So really what we've kind of talked about today is, a lot of the fundamentals to streamline your process. We've looked at dashboards, we looked at some budgeting, modeling basics, and we looked at some reporting. So what I'm going to talk about next is kind of what happens at the end of the month, right? So at the end of the month, it's very common to have reports that are, highly formatted. So what I'm going to talk about is, how can we improve that process? Right. This solution is really about taking your Excel models as an example. Come to us and say, I've formatted these models quite a bit. Right. I've got nice charts, metrics, and graphs and information. I like the way it's formatted, but the difference is that it's not linked or it's not tied to the data. So what we do is we'll take this information, reuse it, right? Save you a lot of time. We can take this information, map it to our existing. So this is kind of the same account structure. So if you wanted to map something like travel entertainment, you can do that, right? Refresh it, great, pulls in the data. So in this example, it's just pulling in one general ledger account, right? Or group of accounts, travel entertainment. But what happens at the end of the month really is about all the time that it takes to get you complete of a full reporting package. So in this example, what I'm simulating is that once you close a month, in this example, it's April, I move the time forward. With a simple click of the button, it rolls everything forward. Every single tab, every single report, dash, any kind of things that are formatted within this Excel model gets refreshed, right? So what did that do? That basically took me from sometimes many days, sometimes over a week, just to get all this collated and organized for the executive board package or a reporting package. We translate this information to a board book as an example as well. So full Excel Word, as well as PowerPoint functionality. So this gets updated, right? You have variables that you may have that gets, updated as part of this process, right? Dynamic variables within paragraphs. And lastly, a nice, pretty board book similar to this gives you full capability to publish and provide a month-end reporting process that may have taken, many, many days. Shaving that time off gives you benefit around, spending more time on analyzing the number, right? What can you do with, 50% more time, right? Spending it on strategic tasks or really making work-life balance and just making decisions. With all the manipulation of the data, all the cumbersome process goes away. Now you just focus on what's important, right? Analyzing the data. So really to quickly review, today's kind of meant to give you a comprehensive initial foray into the platform, right? We've got pretty dashboards. We've got many different ways to bring in information through our integration platform. A lot of examples around how we can help your business from a budgeting, forecasting, and modeling perspective. And ultimately close it out with ad hoc reporting, month-end reporting processes. And really that's the key. It's a quick introduction. We're happy to learn more about your business, kind of have more specific detailed questions around your use cases. But with that, I'll stop there, open it up for questions from any of the participants, and we're happy to schedule next steps as well.
Okay, thanks, Dominic. I'll just give it a moment to see if we have any further questions. Okay, if not, just a minute to hopefully everyone saw how powerful, flexible, and especially how easy Adaptive is to use with the simple drag and drop functionality. As we mentioned before, if you need more information, we have plenty of resources we can make available to you, such as a one-on-one demonstration that speaks more to your needs. We also offer up return on investment sessions to quantify the value of this investment, hands-on workshops, and even get your hands on a trial too. Just let us know what makes sense for you. And when we connect in our follow-up meeting or reach out to me directly, we are very happy to help you. Thanks again for attending. And one of my colleagues will be reaching out for a 15-minute follow-up call. Hopefully you will take the time to share your feedback and let us know how else we can help. Have a great rest of the day, and thanks again for attending.